So, can a famous person's nod actually swing an election?
Huh, yeah. It sounds incredibly simple, doesn't it?
Right. Like, oh, my favorite movie star likes this candidate, so I guess I do too.
Exactly. But the actual answer, well, like most things in politics, it's far more complex than that.
It's rarely just a straight line from A to B.
Not at all. The whole landscape of political influence, it's much more nuanced. Figuring out what truly moves the needle and, for whom,
hmm
that's the real puzzle.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today on the deep dive.
hmm
We're going to unpack the surprising power and sometimes, yeah, the equally surprising limitations of celebrity endorsements in politics.
And we've got some great sources lined up, groundbreaking academic research, some really fascinating historical examples.
And we'll connect it all to a very recent real-world political endorsement battle happening right now, actually, in Minneapolis.
Right. Our mission today is really to get beyond the headlines,
Yeah.
to understand how these endorsements really work, who they genuinely influence, and just as important, who they don't.
Yeah, and what does this all mean for political campaigns going forward? And maybe more importantly, for you, the voter.
Exactly.
Okay, let's kick things off. Celebrity endorsements, they're definitely not new in American politics, are they?
Oh, not at all. This isn't some, new social media trend. We're talking way back, I think 1920.
1920.
Yeah, the presidential campaign of Warren Harding. He had big film stars like Al Jolson,
Hmm.
Mary Pickford. They were vocally backing him.
So even then, they saw the value.
Absolutely. Candidates understood the reach of popular figures,
Yeah.
and it just continued. JFK in the 60s.
Ah, the Rat Pack, right.
Exactly. Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, appearing for Kennedy, and then later Ronald Reagan, who was a former actor himself.
He had Sinatra, among others.
Greg Sinatra, yeah. So candidates clearly court these endorsements.
They spend resources on it, press releases, joint appearances.
Hmm.
They must believe it's important.
They definitely act like they believe it.
Yeah.
But, for a long time, the conventional wisdom was maybe it creates buzz, but does it really change votes?
Was that just wrong? Or did something specific happen to really test that idea?
Well, that's where the 2008 Democratic primary gets really interesting. It gave researchers this unique opportunity to rigorously test the idea.
Okay.
So, May 2007, Oprah Winfrey, arguably one of the most influential public figures in the U.S., endorses Barack Obama.
And the key thing was she hadn't done that before, right?
Exactly. She never endorsed a political candidate, so it was a clean slate. Her influence wasn't tangled up with, prior political leanings. It made it a perfect kind of natural experiment.
So how on earth did they measure something like the Oprah effect? I mean, how do you quantify that kind of cultural power?
It was a really clever approach, actually.
Yeah.
They looked for unique indicators of her popularity before the endorsement, things that varied geographically.
Okay, like what?
Specifically, subscriptions to O, the Oprah magazine, back from 2005, so before the campaign really heated up, and sales figures for books from Oprah's book club.
Ah, the book club. That was huge. Books would just fly off the shelves.
Absolutely legendary for its commercial power. Just to give you an example, Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. Sales jump, wait for it, 5,400% in the 12 weeks after she picked it.
5,400%.
Yeah, from about 12,000 copies to over 640,000. And Love in the Time of Cholera, another one, sales increased over 100-fold almost immediately. Her power to move products was undeniable.
Okay, so the commercial proof was definitely there. Massive influence. Did it translate to politics, to actual votes?
It absolutely did. The study found her endorsement significantly boosted Obama's votes and even his financial contributions.
Really? How much?
Well, get this. A 10% increase in a county's Oprah magazine circulation was linked to a 0.34 percentage point increase in Obama's vote share in the primary states.
Wow. Okay, that's specific. A measurable link. What about turnout? Did more people vote because of her?
Turnout also went up. That same 10% change in magazine circulation was associated with a 0.06 percentage point increase in turnout in those states.
So you scale that up.
Yeah.
What's the big number?
When they scaled it up for the primary overall, the researchers estimated her endorsement was responsible for roughly 1,015,559 extra votes for Obama.
1 million votes.
About that, yes.
So if they're right, her influence wasn't just, symbolic. It could have actually been decisive in that really close race against Hillary Clinton.
Well, look at the numbers in the states they sampled. Obama beat Clinton by about 279,000 votes in those states.
Okay.
But the lower estimate for Oprah's impact in those same states was over 423,000 votes.
So more than the margin of victory.
Exactly. It strongly suggests her endorsement was actually responsible for his popular vote lead over Clinton, at least in that sample.
That sounds almost too neat, though. How did they make sure it was really Oprah and not something else? Like maybe those areas were just becoming more supportive of Obama anyway.
That's crucial, and they were really rigorous about it. They ran multiple falsification tests, basically playing devil's advocate with their own findings.
Like what kind of tests?
They asked, could this just be because these counties were already more liberal? Or what about other popular magazines? They looked at votes from the 2004 Illinois primary, other measures of how liberal an area was, circulation for magazines like Self or People, and they found no similar relationship for those other factors. Nothing linked to Oprah's influence measures except the 2008 endorsement itself. In fact, some other magazines even showed a negative correlation with Obama's vote share.
Which actually makes their case stronger.
Exactly. It really strengthened their conclusion that Oprah's specific endorsement had this unique positive effect.
Okay, so the number seems solid, the methodology sounds robust, but does it feel plausible 1 million votes, given her reach back then?
Absolutely. Think about it. Her daily talk show reached 8 million people. O Magazine had something like 16 million readers.
Huge numbers.
And polls at the time showed 23% of Democrats saying her endorsement would make them more likely to vote for Obama. So the estimated effect, that million or so votes, is only about 2.5% of all the votes cast by Democrats in the primary. That's way below the 23% who said they'd be influenced. So yeah, entirely plausible within the context of her influence.
It really does put star power into a different perspective when you see numbers like that. But okay, here's the big question then. If Oprah's endorsement was so powerful, demonstrably so, why do we always hear that celebrity endorsements don't matter? Or sometimes that they can even hurt a candidate? That seems like a direct contradiction.
It really highlights the complexity, doesn't it? The nuance of influence. Because while the Oprah study showed this significant positive impact, other research definitely offers a contrasting view. It suggests there can be a potential downside.
Especially with certain types of voters.
Exactly, especially among certain demographics.
And what did that other research find?
Well, one study focused specifically on young voters, and its hypothesis was basically the opposite of the Oprah effect. It predicted that celebrity endorsements would actually negatively impact a candidate's chances.
Negatively. Why?
Particularly among young voters, and especially those with higher political efficacy.
Political efficacy, meaning people who feel like they understand politics and can make a difference, they feel capable.
Right, people who feel informed, engaged.
So the idea is maybe those voters react badly. They feel pandered to.
It seems to be the idea. So in this experiment, they used college political science students, a group you'd expect to have high political efficacy.
Okay.
They asked them about voting for a hypothetical candidate, Raymond Morrison, who had fairly standard progressive positions, universal health care, sensible gun control. Then, a treatment group was told that George Clooney had endorsed this candidate on the Today Show.
George Clooney, another big name. What happened?
The results were pretty striking. The percentage of students in that group who said they were not likely to vote for Morrison almost doubled.
Doubled? From what to what?
From about 35% before hearing about the endorsement to over 65% after.
Wow. That's a massive swing and completely the opposite way from Oprah.
Exactly. A huge negative shift.
So it's not just who the celebrity is, it's very much about who the voter is and how they perceive that endorsement.
That's the core finding, yeah. The study suggests that these informed voters, the ones with high political efficacy, they might see a celebrity endorsement as well, pandering for their vote.
Like it's trying to bypass critical thinking.
Potentially, yeah. An attempt to simplify things they feel capable of understanding on their own. And they resent that.
So it really comes down to trust and credibility then. Are celebrities generally seen as credible when they talk politics?
Well, some research suggests that while people generally view celebrities as credible sources overall, they trust them more when they're endorsing, say, a consumer product than a political candidate.
Interesting. So by the perfume, maybe not the politician.
Something like that. And there was a 2007 poll, around the same time as the Oprah endorsement, actually, that found 60% of adults said celebrity endorsements were not important in their choice of candidate.
60% said not important.
And even more telling, 10% in that poll claimed Oprah's support made them less likely to vote for Obama.
Which completely contradicts the actual voting data from the other study.
Exactly. It just shows how tricky self-reported survey data can be for these kinds of nuanced effects. What people say influences them isn't always what actually influences them.
Right. And it seems like there could be an echo chamber thing going on, too. Fans just adopting their idols' views without much thought. I mean, you hear about figures like Dave Ramsey influencing his followers on politics, not just finance.
That's definitely a factor. Endorsements can absolutely reinforce existing beliefs deep in those echo chambers. But party ID plays a huge role too.
How so?
Well, research shows Democrats tend to be more receptive to celebrity endorsements than Republicans are. So the celebrity's own perceived politics and the audience's existing leanings, they act like a filter.
It pre-sorts the impact, in a way?
Kind of, yeah.
It's interesting to compare this to general marketing. What makes a celebrity effective when they're selling, say, a car or a watch? Do those same factors apply in politics?
Well, in marketing, things like the celebrity's popularity, obviously, but also their perceived knowledge or skills related to the product.
Like an athlete endorsing sports gear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Credibility, the match between the celebrity and the brand, even how loyal the celebrity seems to the brand, those are all important. Interestingly, just pure attractiveness found to be less influential than those other things.
Okay. But what about the consumer side?
Right, here's the kicker. When you ask consumers about products, many say price is the biggest factor. And a lot of them also believe advertisers use celebrities simply to manipulate the minds of consumers.
Huh. So that skepticism is already there.
It is. And that skepticism about manipulation.
Yeah.
It could easily carry over into how people view political endorsements, explaining why some voters, like those students in the Clooney experiment, react negatively.
Okay, so we've got the theories, the history, the data showing endorsements can matter a lot, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively. How does this actually play out on the ground in a real current political fight?
Well, let's shift gears and look at Minneapolis. A very recent event there gives us a fascinating contemporary case study.
Okay.
We're talking about the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, the DFL, Minnesota's version of the Democrats endorsing State Senator Omar Fateh for mayor. And this just happened, July 19th, 2025. He defeated the two-term incumbent, Jacob Frey.
So this isn't a celebrity endorsement like Oprah or Clooney. This is the party endorsement, which is a different kind of power, right?
Exactly. If Oprah shows the power of a huge personal brand, the DFL endorsement in Minneapolis shows the power of a party brand, its organization, its machine, even against an incumbent mayor. It's a great example of how these influence battles are fought right now.
Okay, so for listeners maybe not familiar with Minneapolis politics, who is Omar Fateh?
Omar Fateh, he's 35, Somali-American. He actually made history back in 2020, first Somali American elected to the Minnesota Senate. He represents a district in South Minneapolis.
And politically.
He identifies as a democratic socialist.
Okay. And his platform, what's he running on that resonated with those DFL delegates enough to oust an incumbent?
It's heavily focused on economic and social justice. Things like a $20 minimum wage by 2028, rent stabilization, expanding affordable housing.
Pretty progressive stuff.
Very progressive. Also pushing for a local income tax on the wealthy, prohibiting Minneapolis police cooperation with ICE, a different approach to homeless encampments. He calls it a compassionate approach.
So a clear progressive agenda. How did he pull off getting the endorsement over Mayor Frey?
He won big at the DFL convention, got over 60% of the delegate vote needed.
Was it smooth sailing?
Not entirely. There was controversy. Mayor Frey's campaign claimed there were flawed and irregular procedures, issues with electronic voting. They even apparently tried to break quorum by telling their supporters to leave.
Wow. So high drama.
Yeah, but in the end, they did a final vote by just showing raised delegate badges, and Fateh won decisively.
How much does that DFL endorsement actually matter in a city like Minneapolis? Is it make or break?
It's incredibly powerful. It's not legally binding. Frey can still run in the general election. But the DFL endorsement unlocks major resources.
Like what?
Party money, access to established donor lists, a huge volunteer network. Candidates who don't get it usually face a really steep uphill battle. It's less about the media splash of a celebrity, more about the organizational muscle.
Got it. So this win for Fight, it's more than just symbolic then. It signals a real potential shift in the city's politics.
Absolutely. Some are calling it a progressive surge. You see similar things happening in other cities, like with Zoran Mamdani, another democratic socialist in New York City.
And it probably exposes some cracks within the DFL itself.
Definitely. It really highlighted the tension between the moderate wing, represented by Frey, and the growing progressive wing of the party. It's a clear sign that progressive force is gaining ground.
Now, has Fateh himself faced any controversies or scrutiny during his rise? These things often come up.
He has, yes. There was a situation involving his brother-in-law, who was convicted of perjury related to absentee ballots back in Fateh's 2020 state Senate primary. That case also revealed a wider FBI investigation was happening.
Okay. Anything else?
His campaign committee took donations and later returned them from people connected to that big Feeding Our Future nonprofit scandal involving misuse of funds for free food programs. And there was scrutiny over him seeking a state grant for Somali TV, a nonprofit that had endorsed his 2020 campaign.
So he carries some baggage, like many politicians.
It's part of the public record, certainly.
So this DFL endorsement really sets the stage for a fascinating general election fight in Minneapolis.
It really does. November 4th, 2025. It's shaping up to be a clear contest between the progressive wing, now with the party's backing, and the more moderate faction. It's a test of whether Minneapolis voters are ready to embrace that bold progressive platform, or if they'll stick with more centrist leadership. And it will be a test of how much that powerful DFL endorsement ultimately counts for.
So wrapping this all up, we've seen today that endorsements, whether from celebrities or political parties, are this really fascinating, often kind of contradictory force in politics. You have Oprah's impact, huge, measurable, seemingly shifting over 1 million votes for Obama.
Right, demonstrable effect.
Then you have the George Clooney example, where for a certain type of voter-engaged, high efficacy, it had the opposite effect. It turned them off.
Surprising negative reaction, yeah.
And now we see the power of a party machine in Minneapolis, with the DFL endorsing Omar Fateh, setting up this major ideological clash. It's just clear that influence is never simple, is it?
Not at all. The data shows some endorsements really can swing votes, boost turnout, bring in money, but others, they can backfire. They can be seen as manipulative, especially by voters who pride themselves on thinking for themselves.
It really depends on the context, the specific endorser, their authenticity, their connection.
And the voter receiving the message.
Yeah.
Their own beliefs, their political engagement. There's just no single formula.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, the voter? As you head into future elections and you see these endorsements pop up, maybe from an entertainer you love, maybe a respected figure, maybe a powerful party organization.
Yeah, it's worth asking yourself, what's the intent here? Is this endorsement meant to inform you? To maybe inspire you?
Oh, where?
Or is it possibly trying to, well, manipulate you?
And ultimately, how will you take that piece of information, weigh it, and use it or discard it when you make your own decision?